Good afternoon and welcome to the American Made Solar Prize webinar. We're going to kick things off with a quick 2-minute video, and then we'll do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll get into the good stuff. So without further ado, we'll run the video for you.
The U.S. solar industry has taken off. There's now enough solar installed to power more than 10 million homes. This $16 billion industry has created hundreds of thousands of jobs, but most of this technology is made outside our borders. What would happen if we doubled, tripled, or even quadrupled how much solar is made here at home? This rapidly growing industry is ripe with opportunities to innovate and lead globally. Entrepreneurs with fresh ideas have the potential to radically disrupt the industry with solutions that will shape the future. But getting from start to finish requires access to resources, capital, and the know-how to get innovations to market. Without support, great ideas stall, time and resources are quickly depleted, and opportunities to drive progress and innovation are lost. A new $3 million prize competition from the Department of Energy will help entrepreneurial individuals and teams transform great ideas into technology solutions ready for industry testing. Through a series of contests, the competition speeds the time it takes to develop viable solutions capable of boosting manufacturing competitiveness in the United States. Competitors won't be alone. Each step of the way, they'll receive support from national laboratories, energy incubators, and industry partners. These groups will connect entrepreneurs to the network of resources needed to succeed. By supporting innovators throughout the competition, these connectors will help to grow their network, develop business plans, build prototypes, and even secure other funding sources. Each contest brings the best ideas another step closer to market-ready products. Game-changing cash prizes and additional support will be awarded to entrepreneurs showing the most progress. Hard work is part of the American fabric, but so is innovation and collaboration. The American Made Solar Prize competition encourages us to work smarter and better together to achieve our goals. More affordable solar technology made in the USA. Join us.
Oh, sorry. All right. So just a few quick housekeeping items, and then we will get into the meat of this webinar. You might notice all attendees are joined in listen-only mode. However, we are going to be taking questions at the end of the session, and you can submit your questions through the questions panel on the right-hand side at any point, and we'll be going through and answering those as best we can at the end of the webinar. If you're having any technical issues, please first try switching over to phone audio if you're on computer audio. And if that doesn't work, you can contact GoToWebinar support at this phone number. All right, so with that, I will hand it over to Victor Kane at the U.S. Department of Energy.
All right, thank you, Harrison. As Harrison mentioned, my name is Victor Kane. I'm helping coordinate this prize program out of the Solar Energy Technology Office at the U.S. Department of Energy. And wanted to begin here with an outline to just say kind of what we're hoping to accomplish with this webinar. We want to provide a program overview and some important dates that everyone needs to be aware of. And also, for context, this is going to be the first of several webinars. The theme kind of this webinar is basically an introduction of the main components and then a particular focus on the American Made Network. And the reason for that is there's an upcoming deadline on June 19th, where that's going to be at the end of the opportunity for interested entities to indicate that they want to be considered as one of the power connectors. And we'll get into all of that in the upcoming slides. And then finally, we'll conclude with a question and answer period. If, as I'm talking, you have some questions, please feel free to start populating the questions field in the webinar so that when we get to the Q&A portion, we can dive right in and try and answer some of your questions. All right, so at the highest level, the purpose of the program is to try and re-energize American ingenuity in solar innovation and manufacturing. And the way we hope to do that is by empowering innovators with knowledge, resources, and access to rapidly transform ideas into prototypes. What we're trying to do is not just provide funding, but also provide access to the other critical components that we've seen entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial individuals need to actually get things out into the real world. And the last piece is to set entrepreneurs on a network-powered pathway of disruptive innovation so ideas can become real products in months and not years. And what network-powered means is that we don't want to provide funding to people and then just have them try and accomplish this difficult task all on their own. We want to build a network of people that want to support them and want them to succeed. And that's how we've built this entire program to try and accomplish that. So in the next level down, there's kind of two major program components. One is the actual prize competition, which is a $3 million kind of three-stage prize competition. The first stage is the ready stage, which anyone can participate in and receive up to $50,000 cash prize at the end of it. And what's important to know here, and why this is different than some other government funding, is that this competition has begun. So if individuals are interested in winning this prize, they should start actually acting on the goals of the prize now. And then if a ready prize is won, that then helps, allows individuals to be eligible for the $200,000 set prize and the $500,000 go prize. So that's the prize competition. And then the other kind of just as important aspect of the program is the national network of support organizations. The United States has an entire, large grouping of these organizations that are structured to help entrepreneurs, commercialize and get technology out into the real world. And we want those groups to really try and focus on helping some of these solar innovators. And we've structured incentives and rewards and other program components around working with these groups to try and help. The ways that groups can participate is, the first one is through ideation, where we're asking individuals and industry experts and anyone that might have detailed knowledge of important technical problems that are facing the solar industry to go on this platform and load in a description about what the problem is and even potentially how that problem might be solved. And the hope is that will spur conversations and the development of teams around solving some of these ideas. Also, if you want to participate in this program, you can be one of the groups that innovate to actually solve some of the critical challenges facing the solar industry. And the way you do that is through competing in the ready, the set, and the go contests to basically bring a solution concept all the way through proof of concept development, prototype development, and eventual pilot testing of a prototype at the end of the go contest. And then you can also participate in the program through empowering the innovators by joining the American-made network and kind of joining the effort to help these groups succeed and help them advance far faster than they might have been able to go without the assistance. And what we've tried to do with this program design is integrate all of these pieces in a way where they complement one another. So there's the Department of Energy, who's partnered with the National Renewable Energy Lab, who is the prize administrator for this effort to oversee the execution of the prize. And then, as I mentioned, there's ideation to post these problems that need solutions, and then a contest incentivizing and rewarding groups to solve these problems and providing cash prizes at the end of the contest to those that are able to advance their solutions the most. And then we have the network piece that hopefully pulls it all together to help get the word out about the program, to help mentor these groups through the process, and to help them ultimately win the contest and get real-world solutions out there. So the important dates, one I mentioned briefly was the last day to indicate interest in being considered for one of the 5 power connector contracts with NREL. That's the 19th. And we have other slides that will show exactly how you can indicate the interest, but it's very important that you realize that that's going to be cut off very soon because we're trying to get these connectors in place so that they can help by the end of the Ready contest, which is in October. So the last chance to provide ideation or ideas that people could potentially solve via the contest is going to be the 2nd of October. And then on the 5th of October, that's the last chance to complete the submission package, sort of summarizing everything that was accomplished over the Ready contest period. And then you have to win the Ready contest in order to be eligible to compete for the SET and the Go contests. As I mentioned, the ideation and the Ready contest are open right now to begin working on them. We've also published a very detailed document explaining the details of this program, the rules of how the prize works, how things will be scored, what constitutes, excellent performance, and like I said, how it will be judged. So if there's any questions, the first stop should be, reading the rules document because we've done our best to answer the questions in there. And then you can also obviously ask the questions now, and we'll try and answer them at the end of this webinar. And also there's an email address we'll provide at the end where you can email us questions throughout the contest period. All right, so a little bit more detail on ideation. So if you believe you are aware of a problem, a critical problem in the industry that needs a solution, you should go on this platform. You go to this website, HeroX, and you can see there's already been some ideas loaded where you can basically, you provide a short description and perhaps some links and useful online resources. And as you kind of dig into this HeroX platform, you'll notice there's a lot of tools around commenting on the ideas and collaborating and discussing these to hopefully help facilitate the formation of teams and the free flow of information around the things that really need solutions. And then as a prize that can be won through ideation, if an idea is submitted and someone indicates that was what kind of spurred their team to develop and to address this idea, and that team goes on to win the Go contest, then the person that loaded that idea on the ideation platform, may receive this $1,000 achievement payment as a thank you for contributing to this platform. All right. So if you're an innovator, you have a disruptive innovation and you're ready to compete. So that's where you want to start signing up to participate on the HeroX platform in the Ready competition. And as I mentioned, the Ready competition is happening now. This is not like other government awards where you apply with an idea and receive funding at a later date to execute it. You're executing your idea now, and if you succeed, you win a prize. So anyone can compete in the Ready contest. There are not restrictions on that. And then there are, if you win the Ready contest, you can then compete in the SET and the Go contest. One important eligibility element for the SET and Go prizes is that there is an incorporation requirement after the Ready prize is won in order to be eligible to win the SET and Go contest. And then to compete in the Ready contest, you should consider the ideas that are being posted on the ideation platform. You'll need to develop a 90-second video sort of walking through your team and your innovation and problem solving. And then there's 4 critical questions that you will need to develop a narrative around how you are addressing these questions, and then a few other supplementary items that would be provided that constitute the submission package. Then you would complete that submission package before the required deadline of October 5th, 2018. And if that deadline is missed, you would not be eligible to compete in the SET and the Go without competing and winning a Ready prize. So the advantages to competing in this program, you can win increasingly significant cash prizes. As I mentioned, the Ready prize is $50,000. The SET prize is $200,000 and the Go prize is $500,000 per award. And there's $1 million allocated to each one of those prize tranches, so you can kind of see how we get to the number of winners that we've posted in the rules. Also, you'll receive vouchers to access expertise at the national labs and private organizations. We have some further information in subsequent slides along vouchers. You can gain some insightful feedback from and new connections to investors and partners during these 2 national public demo days that the Power Connectors are going to help facilitate at the end of the SET and the GO contest. And then access to a network of organizations motivated to provide mentorship and connections to early stage investors and pilot partners. Basically, by participating in this contest, you're getting kind of a whole team of entities that can connect you and help you succeed. And to talk about the network, we have Debbie Brodt-Giles from NREL. Debbie, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Victor. So I'm Debbie Brodt-Giles from NREL. As Victor mentioned, NREL is the prize administrator for this program, and we're looking to really help build the network as that Victor described. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about what that network looks like now. So first, to join the network, and there's a lot of ways that you could partner with us. So there's a way that you could do that through being a connector or a power connector, as Victor had mentioned. Also, there's the voucher services, and that is really for national labs and other private facilities to work with our teams to help them innovate and be successful in this program. So the national labs are here to help, as well as private facilities, and we're going to have this voucher program that will allow our teams to utilize these vouchers at these laboratory facilities. In addition, there are industry partnerships that are out there. So you could become somebody who's helping us with the judging at demo days. You could be a company or corporation that's really ready to collaborate with a partner and help, accelerate the technologies that people are looking to build. You can help test and validate early stage products. You can become investors in the program or in a team specifically. There's a lot of ways to participate. So I'm going to go into a little bit of that now. So first, what is a connector? It's a fun name that we kind of came up with to really talk about the organizations and the companies who are there to mentor and support and really engage with our competitors. They're going to help our competitors navigate the innovation process. They're going to help them get access to high potential or identify high potential competitors to participate in our program. They're going to allow them to get access to facilities and resources and other tools and mentors that will help them really refine their idea, validate their product, test their product, create their product using small batch manufacturing, things like that. So we're looking to our connectors to really help engage our network, build our network, and leverage the resources and tools that they already have at their disposal and bring them together to help our teams really succeed. So there's a lot of, I think, exciting opportunities for connectors. So the next thing is these connectors are going to be able to help build our network, and they're also going to be rewarded. So just like the competitors have an opportunity to win money, cash prizes, the connectors also are going to have that opportunity to win money as well. So there's really 4 ways that they could do that. The first way is engaging with our competitors. So if you are a connector who helps engage potential partnerships, trying to hold events that will kind of bring excitement to the program, get people excited about joining, you can win potentially a $1,000 payment for that. So we're looking at things like holding webinars or events that with your organization that will actually accelerate more and more teams to join our program. The next version is supporting. So that's really if you are a connector who's there and that you're willing to help and mentor our competitors, and they go on to win our Ready contest, then you have a chance to win money as well doing that. So we have a $100,000 prize pool for that, and that will be split potentially up to 40 winners for the Ready contest. And then when we get to the Set and the Go contest, you still have that opportunity to mentor teams and really help build partnerships with industry participants. And if you do that, you have a chance to split a $70,000 prize pool. And then the last opportunity is really to boost the program and boost the impact that the program is having for our teams. And that is bringing funding, raising capital and bringing funding to the program and to the teams directly. So we're going to be tracking the amount of funds that you as a connector are bringing into the program, and whether that money goes to the program itself or directly to a team is fine. And we want it to go to a lot of different ways to impact our program. So that will be a prize pool of $200,000 that will be distributed proportionally to the top 3 connectors that really have brought in a lot of external private capital to the program. So we've also had this term called power connectors, and you might ask, like, what's a power connector and how is that different than a regular connector? The idea with the power connectors is that we are going to contract with 5 power connectors, and we are going to provide them a contract of $100,000 to really be our partner in this. We want to make sure that this program is sustainable for the long term. So these partners are expected to help grow the network in general, really expand the breadth and depth of our network. They're also expected to engage with the community and bring in new talent to the challenge. They're expected to help really build impactful resources for the program. Hopefully they will leverage their broad network of resources and really help expand the American Made Challenge network that we have. In addition, they will have the opportunity to bid for a $25,000 additional bonus, basically, that would allow them to host the National Demo Day event. At the end of the Ready and the Go contest, we are going to host a Demo Day event, and we are going to utilize our power connectors to help with that. So at the end of the day, the power connectors will get a $100,000 contract. A few of them will get also a $25,000 additional fee for the Demo Day events. And they are also eligible for all of the performance payments that I mentioned in the previous slide. So really, the next slide here talks about the process for the connectors and the power connectors. So to be a connector, all you have to do is go to our website and go to our Connect page. The link is there. There is a form online right now that's already open, and we've definitely had a good number of connectors come in and already complete that form. But what we're looking for there is we'd like you to give us some information about yourself, tell us how your organization can help the program, what does your network look like today, how can you help expand our program. And like I said, we're going to have an unlimited number of connectors in our program because we think that we want our network to be very robust. All you have to do is sign up there. If you're interested in being a power connector, there are 2 additional optional questions on that form, and you should complete those questions before June 19th because we're going to cut it off on June 19th. Those questions are really simple. They're basically, what can you do if you were going to be given a $100,000 contract for us? And also, how would you host a demo day if you were given $25,000? So it's pretty simple questions, but we're going to look at those, the answers to those questions and evaluate who we think would be really great power connectors. And then we're going to invite a subset of the connectors to respond to an RFP, so a request for proposal. So we will be issuing the RFP very soon after we decide on that list. And our goal is to put the contracts in place by mid-August 2018. So we're going to move pretty quickly. We are going to use this RFP process, which will be a normal contracting process through the laboratory. So there are a few things that connectors can do today. So like I said, that we have a good number of people that have already signed up to be a connector. And if you've already done that, then we would really encourage you to obviously become very familiar with the Solar Prize rules, be educated about that. So when your teams and your network ask, you have all the good answers for them. You can help us by spreading the word about the Solar Prize. We have a link here, americanmadechallenges.org/media.html. You could go there and get some resources and information and links and things like that that will help you guys spread the word. So when you are organizing events or webinars or whatever, or putting out blogs to your network, you can use the information that you can find on this media page. You can also help us with ideation. So right now, ideation is open, and we encourage you to go there and put your own ideas in there. Tell us about other challenges or issues that you would like to see addressed, and that would be great. Also, look to start building strong teams in your network. The stronger the teams are that you bring to the table, the more opportunity there will be for you to get those performance payments. So if you could start looking to build teams now, that would be great. Also, begin contacting your network resources. Look for those facilities that you partner with already. Look for the investors and industry professionals that you already work with and start educating them about the program. And then stay informed, because we're going to do our best to provide updates as often as we can on the HeroX platform and also our website. So just kind of follow the prize and stay connected with us. We did mention vouchers, so I want to touch on that a little bit here. There's a lot more information about vouchers, but I do want to let you know that the competitors have access to these vouchers if they are winners of the Set and Go contest. So they will get access to tools and expertise from national labs and other qualified facilities. And also the amount here is $150,000 in vouchers will be given to those winners to help develop, test, and validate their solutions. And that's going to be everything from getting access to development tools, access to national laboratory staff, university staff, private entities, and private laboratories. We will help with hopefully developing products and prototypes, validating products. There will be facilities that are available for small batch manufacturing and other testing capabilities as well. So it's really an exciting program. I would encourage you to go to our website and learn more, because we have a network guidelines document there that really outlines how the voucher program works. So we encourage you, like we said, to become a network partner, and there's lots of ways to do that, either as a connector or a power connector or a private facility that's willing to help our teams, or other partners who are willing to be possibly investors or other mentors. So you can go to our Connect page on our website and learn more there. But just all we need you to do is fill out a form. There's 3 different ways that you can participate, being a connector and power connector, the facility, or an other partner. And then just fill out the form there and let us know how you can help the program in your own words. So here are some important dates that we don't want you to miss. As you know, we launched the program on June 7th, it's now open, and ideation is open, as well as the Ready contest. June 19th, as we already mentioned, is the Power Connector opportunity, is when the Power Connector opportunity closes. And that just closes kind of for people to tell us that they're interested in that Power Connector process. After that date, we're going to start the RFP process and then begin going down that path. At the end of the day, we will be selecting those 5 power connectors through that process. On October 2nd, the initial ideation submission will be closed. And then October 5th, the Ready contest submission deadline will be happening. So make sure you get your Ready contest submissions in by then. In November timeframe, the Ready winners will be announced, and then people will begin to get ready for the Set and Go contest. And then February 2019 is when the Set contest winners are due to be announced, and that will happen at a demo day event. So around the February timeframe, we will be working with one of our power connectors to host that first demo day event, and that's when the first Set contest winners will be announced. And then in June, that's when the Go contest winners will be announced, also at a demo day event. Just so you know, we are going to be selecting 2 different power connectors to host those 2 demo days. Hopefully they will be at different areas of the U.S. So maybe something, I don't want to say where they are because we don't know where they're going to be yet, but hopefully they'll be in 2 different geographic regions, so we'll have nice coverage. So really that is the end of our presentation, but we do want to open it up for questions. We realize the phone lines are not open for you, but hopefully you have been putting questions in the Q&A box. Looks like we have a lot actually. So between Victor and myself, we will try our best to answer as many questions as we can. So just bear with us as we read through some of these and take a stab. And Victor, I'm going to start reading, and you can start reading, and we'll just.
This is Victor. I've been reading through some of them while you were finishing up, so I think I can go ahead and get started in answering some of them. So there's a question around off-grid solar. And will that be considered? There is a whole section in the rules around kind of areas that are maybe not as applicable to this prize, and off-grid is not one of them. So there should not be a restriction on off-grid. Will innovative services be considered versus pure products and technology development? Most likely, yes. We can't, certify ideas before we see them, but I don't believe there is a restriction on services over products. Are companies that have already received funding eligible to apply for the solar prize? Yes. Are companies in the process of building out a prototype eligible? Yes. So as you read through the rules, you'll see we did not try and be overly rigid in what level of development a particular group would be in order to compete. As we said, anyone can compete in the Ready Prize. So a national lab scientist could compete. An employee of a large company could compete. A brand new entrepreneur could compete. And you'll see as you read the rules how that could all work. How do you handle, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was going to take this next one. So how do we handle IP? Is everything public? And the answer is no. So as a team, you're going to be coming to, well, first of all, we're ideating, right? So there's a lot of public ideation ideas out there. We hope that some teams will grab onto some of those ideas and build off of those. But the bottom line is that these teams are going to be coming to this program with their own IP, potentially, their own ideas. And we want those teams to keep their IP. So that will be the intent, that the IP will remain with the teams and the competitors.
Right, and in the submission package instructions, we have indicated there are a few things like a summary slide and I think a technical assistance request form, things like that will be made public, and you can see that clearly in the rules. So there's a question around, incremental improvements kind of not being encouraged to apply into the program, and how will that be determined? I think if you read through the judging kind of criteria, and if you're able to address those clearly and convincingly, then it shouldn't be an issue. But if you are struggling to articulate answers to the questions that were posed in the submission package, your idea may not be a good fit for the program.
There's a question around, does participating in ideation impact in any way our Ready submission? And the answer is no. The idea for ideation is to generate a lot of ideas, get the community excited about it, and kind of work together and build teams around ideas. But you do not need to participate in ideation to participate in the Ready contest. So those two things are separate.
Says, I definitely have ideas. Should I offer the idea or go for a project proposal, or should I file a patent? That's totally up to you. I mean, as I mentioned, the competition has begun. So if you have an idea, the way that you can increase your chances of winning the Ready contest is to advance that idea as far along as you can in the open contest period. So this is not a program where you should sit down and write a proposal for funding for an idea. You should get out there and start trying to advance it, getting feedback on the idea, developing proof of concepts and things like that during this phase.
There's a question on will the judging of the winners of the ready submissions be rolling or only occur after the October 5th deadline? The judging will occur after October 5th. We're going to close it down and make sure we have all the submissions in on October 5th, and then the judging will begin. The slides will also definitely be available. We're also recording this webinar, so the whole recording will be also on our website.
Is the contest targeting any specific topic areas? We didn't do it like with other funding opportunities where we have a specific topic that is focusing on one particular technology area. And I think that the question is also asking, will non-hardware related costs be considered? And the answer is yes, that both hardware and I think the other question was like servicing and things like that, things that help advance the solar industry will be considered. But we are looking for ways to kind of revitalize U.S. manufacturing as well.
There's a question from somebody about submitting the power connector application, and unfortunately they didn't receive a response. And there's a lot of moving parts on this program, and we apologize that we haven't had a lot of communication back to the people that have applied. But for sure, if you've applied, we have received your submission, and we are going to be reaching out to you very soon. Like we said, the deadline for submitting to be a power connector is on the 19th. So we are going to close it down, and then very soon after that, you're going to be hearing from us. Expected to move forward with the RFP. Of course, you'll hear about the RFP, and if you're not selected for that, we will reach out to you and tell you that as well. So I just want to let you know we will have more communication with those power connectors.
All right, and in terms of how do you sign up to be a voucher service provider, whether you're a lab or a private group, the form on the website it says, how to connect. One of the options is to sign up as a voucher service provider, and when you do that, you'll then be included on a list that is notified when voucher funding becomes available. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Debbie.
No, I don't really have much to add to that one.
Okay.
So how do national labs sign up? Is that the one that you just answered,
yeah.
Victor?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was typing a response to somebody else. So I will add a little bit to the national lab one. So we are all national labs, DOE national labs are considered partners already. So it's not like you have to do anything to become a partner. But it would be great to know that you have interest in actively participating in this program. And we are going to be reaching out to everyone, all the labs, to tell everybody how that's going to work. There's a whole process for the voucher system. The submissions will be shared to those laboratories. They will have a chance to submit PowerPoint slides back to the teams. They'll have a chance to negotiate with the teams on the type of work they want to do with the teams. And then NREL will be providing the national labs funding, the funding that is agreed upon through our MPO process. It's a process that's an official process that's here at the lab already. And so that's how the money will be transferred to the different labs to do the work. So I'm happy to talk to the lab staff more about those details if you would like.
Okay. The next question is saying someone's interested in being a competitor, but only recently learned about the opportunity. Is it too late to apply? The answer definitely is not. The effort has just begun, and it's sort of the way a competition works is there's an open period where you're competing against everyone else, and that period is right now. So your goal is basically read through the rules and see how you will be judged, and do your best to advance your solution as far as possible in accordance with kind of those judging criteria, and that's how the prizes are won. So you can compete for this prize all the way up until October 5th when a submission package is due, and then the progress that was made will be judged and winners will be selected.
There's a question about physical products or software solutions, and we're looking for both. So So yes, physical products, and we talk about manufacturing. That's definitely one of the things we're looking at. But a software solution that assists any kind of solar product or manufacturing process is also fair game in this program.
All right, good question here. The ideation and ready close the same week. Can you explain the difference? So ideation is our effort to create kind of an open platform, an open community where people are talking about problems in the industry that need to be solved, and individuals interested in competing in this competition can then review ideation, engage with the community, and hopefully come up with a solution to these problems and compete in the ready contest around that. So ideation needs to close to stop before the ready contest ends, so that we can give credit to people that have loaded in these ideas if their idea spurred someone to compete in the program that goes on to basically be the ultimate success of winning the Go prize. So it's our way of tying people that have submitted ideas and ideation to the outcome of the Go contest.
There's a question about, do you have to sign up as a connector to offer ideas during the ideation phase? And the answer is definitely no. Ideation is open to the entire community, the general public. You don't need to be a connector or a partner or even a competitor to add ideas there. So anybody with a good idea could put their idea in ideation. You don't need to sign up to be a connector.
And sort of along the same lines, the next question is asking if a connector can be an inventor who wants to submit an idea. I think without seeing the specifics, it's hard to say, but based on that wording, probably not. You probably would not want to be an individual inventor and sign up to be a connector. The connectors are really kind of organizations dedicated to helping entrepreneurial individuals bring innovations into reality, whereas an inventor is an individual who is trying to bring a particular innovation into reality. So we're hoping that connectors can be paired with groups of inventors and innovators to kind of accomplish goals of this program.
It is not necessary to use one of our ideation ideas in your submission, just so you know. So you can come into the Ready contest with your own idea that never was shown off in the ideation platform. That was one of the questions. The idea is we would like to, put those ideas out there and get a lot of momentum around it and get people who are interested in helping to solve those ideas, together and working together towards those common goals. But it's not a requirement.
All right, here's an important detail about the program. So may I submit my proposal before October 5th? That type of question kind of implies a miscommunication around how this program works. There aren't proposals. Basically, you are competing with your idea to bring it make the most progress possible on your idea from starting now all the way till October 5th. And whoever is able to make the most progress while accomplishing kind of those judging criteria and addressing those judging criteria will win a prize for the work they've already done. So it's not like you would write a proposal for funding and then not do anything and then win a prize. The goal is to get out there and make as much progress, and the individuals that do so will win a prize to hopefully continue the effort and subsequently win larger and more substantial prizes and gain more and more support to bring their innovation into reality.
So when do we expect to be making the announcements on the connectors and power connectors? As far as the connectors go, we are going to be posting them on the website very soon. I'm thinking next week we'll start having a listing of the connectors who have already applied. Basically, if you're a connector that's submitted that form to us and we have kind of verified that you're an organization, a credible organization that kind of does this for a living anyway, you are definitely going to be in, and we'll put you up on the website. For the power connectors, we do need to go through that RFP process still. So like I said, we're expecting to finalize those contracts in the mid-August timeframe. So you're going to be starting to see connectors listed on the website very soon. And then in August, some of those connectors may also become power connectors.
Now, to clarify on that question, Debbie, does that mean that all the connectors will be posted by next week, or just kind of the first round, and they can continue to apply after
Oh,
that?
absolutely. They will. It will be open. We're going to keep the connector piece of the form open indefinitely. So it's not like everything's going to close on the 19th. So even after the 19th, if somebody still wants to be a connector, they definitely can still put in their form, and we will continue to add names and organizations to the list over time.
There's a question if the video has to be loaded at a different time than the rest of the submission, or whether a submission can be loaded before October 5th. In general, you would create the submission package and upload it all together, and whether you want to do that on or before the deadline is up to you. Are the cash prizes tied to anything? No, that is what a prize is. It's a cash prize, so it's not like a grant, which has other things it requires. This is you would receive a check from NREL, the prize administrator, if you were to win the prize. The voucher requirement has a little bit more involved in how to receive that, and we are going to provide detailed instructions on how to execute the voucher funding on top of the prize.
So the next question is interesting. So how can you ensure that connectors will not compete with competitors? So the purpose of the connectors and the power connectors is to help mentor the competitors. So they will be mentoring specific teams and helping those teams succeed. In doing so, I guess they will be in competition with other teams potentially and other connectors. So I guess I'm not sure about that question, but the idea with the connectors and power connectors is that they will be working very closely with the teams, helping them navigate the resources that are out there and available for them, and they will be assisting the teams. They will not necessarily be in competition with the teams. However, that being said, every team is in competition with each other.
All right, and then do we need the full application to get started or just an intro and graphic to start? So again, I think there's some confusion between like what a grant application would be and what this is. There is no full application or intro or anything that will be judged prior to the submission package being loaded. It is up to you to determine what you want to work on and make the most progress possible. And then whoever makes the most progress, as you know, we clearly spell out, how that's defined in the rules, is then eligible to receive a prize. So there isn't any like prejudging of a concept that would then be, encouraged to continue. It's more you do everything you can to advance your solution, submit a submission package, and then people will be judged and ultimately win the prize. Okay. How are connectors matched with teams? Do you want to take that one, Debbie?
Well, sure. Sorry, I was reading it while you were taking it. So, yeah, how are the connectors going to be matched with the teams? Basically, once these connectors and power connectors are established, we want them to be reaching out to these teams, right? So the competitors, we're going to know who they are through our HeroX platform. That's where everybody, kind of this community, will be able to collaborate and communicate with each other. And so we want the teams to be reaching out to the connectors and power connectors that make sense to them, either regionally or because they have some specialty that they think they could help them with, and vice versa. So if the power connectors think that they can help a team, they should be reaching out as well. So we aren't going to necessarily be doing, one-to-one matchmaking. We want the network to kind of organically grow and connect. And just because one connector is helping a team doesn't necessarily mean that another connector couldn't also help that team. So we want it to be very matrixed and have people helping across regional boundaries, and technology boundaries also.
Right, and just to add to that, it is not required that competitors work with connectors. Our hope is that connectors will provide a valuable resource to competitors and help them succeed. And connectors in general are collaborative rather than competitive, so they work together to try and advance each other's kind of cohort of individuals, even outside of this prize. And they kind of exist to help people succeed. So if one connector might be able to provide an industry partner introduction, and another one might be able to identify someone interested in funding, that would be great. So we don't want to limit it to one-to-one matching or even have an opinion on how this should match. Our hope is that competitors will reach out to connectors and connectors will reach out to competitors on their own.
So if I'm a connector and I help an inventor in preparing a proposal, can I qualify for that $1,000 prize? So I'm assuming you're talking about the ideation prize, and the answer is yes. So right now in ideation, it's open. So everybody should be putting their ideas in there and getting those documented in the ideation area. If there's somebody, an inventor or a team, that takes your idea and goes all the way through the Ready, Set, Go contest and then ends up winning the Go contest, and they use your idea, then that's when you would get that $1,000 prize.
I think that might be referring to the Engage prize around like running events to bring competitors.
Okay, yeah, so in that case, yes. I mean, it's still, if you are a connector and you hold an event or a webinar that meets the criteria, you can get that $1,000 prize, even though you're specifically helping however many teams you're helping.
Right, but I believe there were some requirements in the guidelines around, like 30 people need to be attending the event. We need to have kind of some proof that the event was held. There's some minimum requirements.
Yep, and that's in the rules.
Yep. So there's kind of a long question here. I think to summarize, it's saying, it sounds like we want very experienced people that know the solar industry and the manufacturing process and experienced connectors and power connectors. What about if people aren't super experienced but have relevant expertise to solve one of these critical problems? The answer is that we want individuals of all backgrounds to come and try and address these critical problems in the solar industry. While it could be the case that someone with 20 years of experience in the solar industry has a great idea, I think it is also just as likely that someone who's not as familiar with the solar industry but has some really relevant expertise in another industry could come and address one of these critical problems and also win a prize. So I think there's opportunities for groups of individuals with all kinds of backgrounds.
So there's a question, a very specific question about creating a submission, and is that the right place for ideation? So just to be clear, we're using the HeroX platform as a collaboration crowdsourcing site, and we're using it for ideation as well as for the Ready contest. And so so if you go to our website, there at the top there's a bar, and there's a place where you can ideate and a place where you can compete. So if you're looking to ideate, go to the ideation section and follow those links to HeroX, and that's where you can put your ideas in. And then if you follow the compete links, that will take you to where you would create your submission for the Ready contest.
Okay, how does this program differ from Small Business Innovation Research Program? On almost every aspect, it differs from that program, mainly because SBIR, you would submit a 30 to 50 page proposal and wait several months for it to be reviewed and then receive funding to begin working on that problem. Whereas this program, you don't receive funding up front, but if you are working on something and making a great deal of progress and addressing the goals of the program and able to prove that, then you can receive a prize for all that great work kind of after the work has occurred. So, and then that funding could be leveraged into bigger, larger and larger funding tranches. SBR is very different from kind of the prize type process. All right, I think we've reached the end of the list. Maybe we'll hold for another 20 or 30 seconds to see if anyone else has any last questions. And if not, we can end. So we'll just wait a little bit.
Yeah, and if you guys have any other questions, there is an email on our last slide here. It's also, of course, on our website. So you can definitely reach out to us at challenge@nrel.gov and just ask whatever questions you have, and we'll do our best to try to get back to you and answer them.
All right, I think that's the end of our webinar. So these slides will be posted. And thank you, everybody. And I hope we get to see your submissions and you can help us accomplish the goals of this program.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.